Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I am doing very, very well. I'm also very, very hot.
Yeah, it is. We're in a heat wave right now, brother.
Oh my goodness. And we haven't even gotten to the meat and potatoes of
just the beginning.
heat.
Just the beginning.
It's supposed to be like mid-30s this week. Way too hot.
Yeah, man.
We have every single window open, every single fan going, and it's doing nothing.
It's fine. I'm in the basement right now. It's pretty nice in here, but the higher you get in my house, the hotter it gets. So
luckily, we have a pretty cool movie to talk about today. Our second film in Tom Savini month, a month we are spending appreciating all things Tom Savini. But before we dive into this week's episode, let's chat a bit about some horror news, shall we?
This is horror news.
Blairski, you got some horror news?
Just one thing, Jesse. As we draw closer and closer to Halloween, I am very happy to share that one of our favorite Halloween activities to do, Deadmonton House, has announced their 3 haunts for the 2024 spooky season, which are called The Curse of the Three Sisters.
Excellent.
The Abbey.
Okay.
And The Puppet Factory.
Okay.
All 3 sound fantastic as far as I'm concerned. I did check if Dark had any info yet for this year. Nothing yet. However, I did see at the Capitol Theater in Fort Edmonton Park on July 19th, they are playing Jaws.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
Fun.
which might be cool to check out if possible, for sure. But excited for haunt season already, man.
A lot of fun, a lot of fun. I feel like they did the Abbey and the Puppet Factory last year, no?
They might have done the Abbey. For some reason, that name sounds very familiar, but they didn't do the Puppet Factory. It was called the Print Show last year.
The Print Show, yes. Thank you. I feel like, I mean, regardless, it's going to be fantastic. It always is.
Yeah, 100%.
It always is. I've got a couple pieces here. First off, we have a birthday boy in the room.
Yeah,
you just had a birthday yesterday.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
He's finally 18. He finally did it.
I'll go with that, man. I'll go with that all day.
It was a good birthday, though. Good, relaxing birthday.
It was good, man. It was good. Came and went really quick, as they all do, but it was a good day. Spent it with my daughter and had an absolute blast. So it was a good day.
He was spoiled rotten.
I was indeed.
Well, I'm glad you had a great birthday, man. Another one in the books. On to the next one.
On to the next, brother. Another year.
Also, your piece of the Amityville Horror House has arrived.
It did come. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
I think we mentioned it in our last episode, but you acquired a piece that has been authenticated, a piece of the Amityville Horror House.
The original Amityville Horror House before all the renovations and shit. It's literally just a little piece of wood. It's not much, but it is framed nicely. Comes with a certificate of authenticity. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
You're a wild man.
I know.
Oh, goodness. And then I've got 2 more pieces here, but our watch party. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the first time that we've ever thrown a vote up for the watch party.
That's
Usually
right,
it's something that Blair and I decide on. But this time around, we decided to let you, the listeners, decide for us on what our watch party is going to be for Tom Savini month. Blairski, I think we have a winner, do we not?
We do, and it's only by 1 vote. Okay. But the winner is Friday the 13th, part 4. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a fun movie to watch with the watch party. Second place, as I said, by 1 vote was Dawn of the Dead.
Excellent.
Excellent.
This is a great month. Any of the movies that we're scheduled to review could have been a great selection for the watch party, but I'm glad we're going with a classic.
Yeah, and that's why we had to do the poll, because we couldn't decide. They're all good movies. So
many good ones. Finally, I think there's another piece of merch you might add to your collection, Blairski.
Okay.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I was a big fan of Lego.
Okay.
And they just announced a set that I might have to buy, set to be released August 1st, 2024, and coming in at a total piece count of 1,497 pieces. Lego is bringing the Orca, aka the boat from Jaws. It's also including Bruce the Shark.
Oh, right on. I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah, also including Chief Brody, Matt Hooper, and Captain Quint. Unbelievable.
I just watched that movie on July 4th, Independence Day.
That's the time to watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. I saw pictures of it. They just released a video of it. It looks great. Retailed at $159.99 American,
okay,
which is equivalent to about $1,000 Canadian.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, something really cool to look forward to. Like I said, I looked at the pictures. I'll send them to you later because they look pretty excellent.
That's something like I would probably put together and just keep there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. As a showpiece, a nice showpiece.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah, that's all I have for horror news. What do you say we jump into this week's episode? The second film in Tom Savini month goes to 1981's The Prowler. Runtime on this one, 1 hour, 29 minutes. Blairski, initial thoughts on the runtime?
Right in the wheelhouse, my brother. It did did drag in a little, some parts up we'll talk about later, but as far as runtime go, it's perfect, man. Yeah,
I agree. On paper, it's perfect. You know, that 1 hour, 30-minute sweet spot. I agree. I felt like certain spots maybe leaning more into the second half of the movie dragged a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll get into it though. But before we do that, let's jump into some fun facts.
Fun facts. Facts that are fun.
Blairski, you got some fun facts for The Prowler?
Well, here's a fun fact. So during our selection show, we spent a lot of effort trying to find a film that was not directed by Rodriguez because we did not want to do two movies from the same director as he already did From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, we wanted to focus on Tom Savini.
Little did I realize our other four movies are directed by two directors. So we got Joseph Zito, who did this movie, and he also did Friday the 13th. And then we got George A. Romero, who of course did Dawn of the Dead and Creepshow. So we spent a lot of time trying to do a runaround on Rodriguez for nothing really.
Look at us go, hey, doing our due diligence, doing proper vetting, and fucking it up in the end.
Yeah. So I just had to throw that in there as a fun fact.
Yeah.
All right, now for the movie. I just got two for the movie. Although now considered a cult classic, this movie was not profitable on release and just barely broke even, making about $1 million in box office and costing about $1 million to make, which is probably why there's no sequels or anything.
Which is weird because it kind of has it feels like it's, the ending is kind of leading up to, will they have a sequel kind of thing? Apparently there was an offer from a production company for the equivalent of like $1 million and they turned it down.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of put their eggs in the basket saying, well, we're going to take our shot and see if we can make it through box office, whatever. And clearly that didn't happen originally, at the original release. But
I'm sure through the years they've made up for it, but.
And like you said, it's become a cult classic
100%.
Since then, as most, classic horror movies do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The final fun fact I have is the original working title for this film was Graduation, which is pretty lame. I must say The Prowler is a much better choice for sure.
It's not a great Graduation, not a great working title.
No.
There was just to build off of that, there was a couple different names that the movie was released under. So internationally, it was released as Rosemary's Killer. Also not a great title.
No, and I read they cut out all the violence in those ones as well.
Silly.
Yeah.
And then briefly, it was re-released in 1984 to like a handful of theaters. And I think they did it secretly without the filmmakers knowing, and did this whole thing, and it was released as Pitchfork Massacre.
Okay.
Which, again,
that's better than Graduation.
Yeah. But what I like about this movie, and we'll get into it, is the pitchfork, although used, is not the only weapon used. It's an okay title. It's okay. The Prowler, I think, is the best one they
I like it.
With. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple other ones here. Apparently, Tom Savini considers this his best work, which, of course, we mentioned in the selection show. This is why we narrowed it down to this one. Yeah. The entire shooting schedule was based around the special effects makeup.
Yeah.
As it usually took like a day to prepare, a day to set up the special effects stuff. I thought this was really cool, and I didn't realize it, but during all of the kill scenes, the Prowler is played by none other than Tom Savini himself.
Did not realize that either, and that is pretty awesome.
Pretty excellent. Yeah. That's all I have for fun facts, but I thought that was great. I didn't find that out until earlier today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know until just now.
Yeah, really, really cool. Okay, this one directed by, as you had said, Joseph Zito, also directed 1980's Blood Rage, 1985's Invasion USA, and 1984's Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Yes, sir.
This one written by Glenn Leopold, also wrote 81 episodes of the TV show The Smurfs, 4 episodes of The Jetsons, a plethora of Scooby-Doo episodes, 16 episodes of The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and 5 episodes of Doug.
Okay, right on. Weren't all those cartoons, what was that company name? Barbara?
Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera, right? So he must have been an employee.
So this is something that we see from all 3 of the writers of the Prowlers, as they're all huge cartoon show guys, and they all worked on really big cartoon shows, which is, we'll see with the actors in this movie, they're all big soap opera stars, as most horror movie stars were in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah.
A quick take back here. Doug, big Doug fan, Blair? Doug funny?
I was a big Doug fan growing up, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching that on one Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Also written by Neil Barbera. Also wrote 1984's Too Scared to Scream, 65 episodes of Tom and Jerry Kids, and a bunch of other cartoon shows, including Scooby-Doo's Laugh Olympics, Yogi's Gang, The Pebble and Bam Bam Show, and Chattanooga Cats.
Now, with the last name Barbera,
I'm kind of curious. I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. I'm curious if they're somehow related.
Never know. I guess we'll have to find out sometime.
He's maybe related to Fred Flintstone himself. And then finally, written by Eric Lewald, also wrote 76 episodes of X-Men, the animated series, 40 episodes of Mummies Alive, which was a great show, 65 episodes of Beetlejuice, 4 episodes of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and a bunch of other cartoon shows. These guys were on, like, writing for a lot of the major ones during the 80s and 90s.
I was about to say,
and 70s.
Especially during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's jump into the folks who starred in this fine film, starting off with Vicky Dawson as Pam, starred in 5 episodes of Another World, 2021's Amazon Queen, 2020's About Hope, and 5 episodes of As the World Turns. Christopher Goutman as Mark, starred in 17 episodes of Search for Tomorrow, 58 episodes of Edge of Night, 21 episodes of Texas, also directed 148 episodes of As the World Turns, 72 episodes of All My Children, and produced 1,666 episodes of As the World Turns. I believe he was with the show the entire run.
Sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like it.
It was from, I think, the early 80s up until the mid 2000s. It might, for all I know, it might still be on TV. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Also starring Lawrence Tierney as Major Chatnam. Also starred as Elaine's dad on Seinfeld for 1 episode.
Okay, right on.
Also Joe Cabot in 1992's Reservoir Dogs. And in 1994's Junior, which starred a pregnant Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then finally starring Farley Granger as Sheriff Fraser, also starred in 56 episodes of As the World Turns, 4 episodes of The Love Boat, and in 1951's Strangers on a Train. So what I see here, a lot of people starring in As the World Turns. Obviously, we have Christopher Goutman as a producer on that show.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he helped out his old buddies.
Must have, man. And I'm sure
really sweet.
I'm sure that happens a lot in Hollywood, man.
Absolutely. That's really sweet, though, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Okay, synopsis for 1981's The Prowler, courtesy of our dear friends at IM. DB, an unknown killer, clad in World War II U.S. Army fatigues, stalks a small California town, bent on reliving a 35-year-old double murder by focusing on a group of college kids holding an annual graduation.
I love it.
That's it. That is it. That's the movie. Yeah. There's a lot of loose holes in that synopsis, but also there's a lot of loose holes in this movie. We'll talk about it. But before that, kill count.
Kill count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, we got a kill count for the Prowler.
We do. This one was pretty easy to count off.
Yeah.
We have a total kill count of 8. They were all excellent kills.
Yeah, I think that's a great lead in to our next segment, likes and dislikes.
Likes, dislikes, likes, dislikes, and everything in between.
The portion of the show where we chat about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Blairski, I mean, this is your traditional slasher movie.
Yeah.
But I think what really sets it apart from a lot of the other ones that we see, especially around this time, is the unique kills in this movie.
Not only just the unique kills, but the blood and the fact it shows everything. For a movie made in the very early 80s, 81, a lot of movies in that time didn't really show the kills.
Yeah.
It showed everything, and it was great. Yeah. It literally was probably Tom Savini at his best. Definitely early in his career, for sure.
Yeah, that's earlier Tom Savini, and he's really shining in this movie. And right off the bat, I mean, we have the double murder right off the bat, which, I mean, if you've seen it, I don't think it's giving too much away, but it is a pitchfork kill.
Yeah.
And not only the kill itself, not only the blood itself, but the sound of the pitchfork struggling to get into both people. Fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a minute. It's not just a one swipe in that the pitchfork goes through both people. It takes some effort and some time, and you hear and see all of it. It's great.
Yeah. And then, I mean, obviously that being followed up with the beautiful knife to the head and another pitchfork kill in the shower and a great, pool death scene and an excellent exploding head. It's, I mean, this movie is great for the kills, if nothing else. The special effects are great.
I have that written down. The best part of the movie, for me, the entire movie, was all the kills. The kills were excellent. My favorite kill is that head kill with the bayonet.
It's so good. And when just like you were saying, they show everything in this movie.
Yeah.
So not only do they see the entrance of the bayonet, but you see the white eyes. And then it's a lengthy scene. He struggles, and then all of a sudden it pops out of the bottom of his jaw. It's just
through his jaw. It's so good.
It's so excellent. And I think, in the 80s, kind of the golden era for slasher movies, you kind of had to think a little bit outside of the box. You kind of had to be a bit unique with those kills or the way you're using the special effects. So for them to kind of build their schedule around the special effects, I mean, it shows. It shows.
100% it does. Yeah, 100% it does.
Yeah. I thought the intro for this movie was a lot of fun. I thought it set up the story perfectly. At first, I thought maybe I was watching the original Prowler I think there's a Prowler from 1953.
There it is. 51. I thought I was watching the completely wrong movie at first.
Yeah. I was like, oh no. And it starts with, newsreel footage from soldiers returning from war, the 1940s. And I think it's the perfect setup. And then you go to the graduation with these soldiers and these students graduating, and then it leads to the double murder. But it's the perfect setup.
And we get all that before the title card. We get that double murder before the title card. We get the whole backstory, the letter with Rosemary reading the letter of why she's breaking up with her boyfriend. It all worked perfectly, the intro.
And then it leads to that title card, and the title card is just boom, the Prowler, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it just bam, it's right there onto the movie.
Yeah.
Now, I was a little bit, I'm going to kind of move away from what I liked. I'm sure we'll get right back into it, but I was a little bit confused with the whole Prowler motive. Especially with the reveal at the end. I felt like the reveal of the killer, and we were waiting for it, and we knew we were going to get it, but it felt a bit anticlimactic. We didn't get a whole lot of backstory on the Prowler. We didn't know why 35 years later he was killing all of these people. It wasn't even really clear
that it's the same person.
That it's the same person, or if it was the lover of Rosemary, or if it was, it's just, I feel like those were the plot holes of the script. It wasn't clear, although the Prowler was pretty badass. It was just also, it felt like they were coming to the end of the movie, and it's like, oh wait, who's going to be the Prowler?
I guessed it from the beginning, man. I guessed it from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one character who has an excuse of, oh, I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Which all the other characters are like, okay, we'll just stay behind. It's like, okay, well, clearly it's going to be that guy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But even just knowing that, it was just, I was expecting for that character to maybe have more of an impact in the story, even if he wasn't, there, or at least know more about the character, know why he was doing all this stuff. And it wasn't very clear. And maybe I missed something, but it just wasn't overly clear.
No, you didn't. I totally agree. It wasn't clear at all. And again, you're talking about 35 years between, 1945 and 1980.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it can't be the same killer, because he didn't seem that old to me.
No, not at all. That was something that I was really leaning into as well. Like the only person, spoiler alert, it's not Chatnam.
Yeah, it's not Chatnam.
And they kind of build it up as if maybe at the beginning, but it's like, well, now he's an elderly man who's had strokes and can't move.
Yeah, he's in a wheelchair.
So it's not going to be him. But also, even just seeing the movement of the Prowler, it was just like, well, this would have to be, if this man was in the 40s, he would have been, 18, probably at least the earliest.
18. Yeah.
And it's just, it's something seemed off with the timeline. If they are the same person, which again, I don't remember them making very clear.
No, and if they are different people, we don't know what the relationship is. Like they didn't answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, and usually, you have in kind of traditional slashers, you know who's going to die. It's usually the characters that you hate the most.
Yeah.
And then kind of like the lovable, like good-spirited characters are going to make it. And it's just not the case in this one. It's really unclear who, what his MO is, what kind of people he's after. He's just kind of killing everyone.
Yeah, who's going to die and why.
It's not overly clear, but oh well, it was still, I love the getup of the Prowler. That's something that's really unique.
It's pretty cool.
I love the weapons of choice. Again, pretty unique, it felt. But I don't know. And I also love the use of kind of that POV that we get in a lot of those early slasher. It was very reminiscent of like a Halloween, where you get that killer POV with the heavy breathing. It's kind of nice.
Just at first, kind of while he's approaching the victims, and then it will switch like a third person viewing of him. But I did like how they threw that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. What else did you like about this one, or not like about this one?
Well, I do got to say, this movie gave me hella prom night vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis prom night. I got
100%.
prom night vibes from this,
100%.
including the live band playing at the graduation party. They were absolutely fantastic.
Got an awful lot of screen time too.
They did. Well, there wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't notice anyways a lot of music in this movie. Not saying that there wasn't any. I just didn't notice it unless it was that band playing.
I noticed the music right at the very end of the movie where it goes from this great intense music and then it's a really weird cut to like a happy music that leads into the end credits.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't even notice that.
But yeah, the music for the most part. Yeah. They were a lot of fun. The feel
and atmosphere of the whole movie was really cool. The acting was fine. But yeah, there were definitely some plot holes. There was definitely some slow moments, as we mentioned earlier, especially the second kind of half of the movie.
There was just a few scenes that felt unnecessarily long. One in particular that keeps jumping back at me, and I feel like it's one of the longer scenes in the movie, is the phone call to the front desk at the cabin where the sheriff is staying. And it's just like this unnecessarily long scene.
It's very long. The guy who's in charge of the cabins is a total douchebag.
Yeah, but also a character that we don't ever see again.
No.
Like that scene would make more sense if that character was then killed by the Prowler.
Yeah, just for being a douche.
Yeah, exactly. That is but that's like in a traditional slasher, I feel like that is a character who would get his comeuppance. You know?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just one scene that stuck out in my head. Even unfortunately, the kind of the chase scene with the Prowler and Pam in the house at the end of the movie, I felt like it felt a little bit long, especially kind of the Prowler searching for Pam felt a little bit long.
It also doesn't help that the Prowler's movements are slow, in a sense of like slow Jason or even Michael Myers, right? Like a very more of a fast-paced walk than anything,
Absolutely. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, just because it really stuck out to me. I thought it was really, really cool. But there's some great camera work in this one. I love the scene, in particular, the scene in the pool. There's a scene where the body's in the pool and there's the blood and just the light from inside the pool light. It just looks so cool.
It looked awesome. And then you have all the blood coming out of her mouth and in with the water. It looked awesome.
Yeah. Again, makeup work was fantastic. And that with the, camera work was really, really cool. There was another scene with the bathroom door slowly closing, covered in blood. It was great.
Yeah.
Anything else you liked, didn't like, anywhere in between?
Covered everything, my brother.
Wicked. Let's move right along to our next segment, one of our favorites.
One of them.
Lessons we learned from watching 1981's The Prowler.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The segment of the show where we talk about the valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, did you learn a single darn thing from watching The Prowler?
Two things here. I learned that alongside the bayonet, the common pitchfork was apparently a standard issued piece of military equipment during World War II.
That's right. Going over the top with a pitchfork.
Yeah, right. Everything about him is just like World War II vet, except the pitchfork.
The pitchfork, yeah.
Final thing I learned is that bands take breaks in order to powder their noses.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly what that means, but something is telling me it's not to touch up their makeup.
Well, I was going to say, I'm wondering if the band in the 1940s, it was to powder their noses, and the band in the 1980s, it was to powder their noses.
Very quite possible.
It seems a little bit more fitting in the 1980s.
It does, for sure.
I learned a few things here. Just because you have a flashlight doesn't mean you're not allowed to turn the lights on in a house and turn off your flashlight. They made a big point of like certain rooms having lights on it, but then they made a real big point of using the flashlight. It's like, just turn on the lights.
Yeah, just turn on the lights.
Oh, goodness. Another one here. If you want to avoid a chaotic bloodbath, simply cancel all graduations.
Yeah.
Bloodbath hadn't happened for 35 years. All of a sudden, there's a graduation.
Bloodbath
starts
happens.
kicking off again. Absolutely. Yeah. And then finally, preserve your water, folks. Try to keep your showers between 5 and 8 minutes.
Not the hour and a half movie this was.
Hour and a half. Don't keep it running for 24 hours. And if you're a roommate and your other roommate has the shower running for 24 consecutive hours, maybe check in on them.
Yeah.
Maybe knock on the door. And if you don't hear a response, maybe go in and check on them.
Yeah.
I mean, they might just be having a 24-hour-long shower, or they might have been killed. They might have slipped. Go and check on them.
Yeah.
That's all I learned from watching this movie. Let's move right along to our next segment of the show, Line of the Night.
Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills. They might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites. Now, Blairski,
Yeah, buddy.
being a slasher movie from the 1980s, I was hoping that this would just be a plethora of incredible lines. And it was okay.
It was okay.
It was so-so. Why didn't you kick it off? Kick it off for us.
The first one is buy that extra war bond today, which was said by the narrator at the beginning of the movie, which made me laugh.
Yeah, do your part, folks. Do your part in the war efforts.
It's pretty nostalgic, actually. I loved it. My final line of the night is Sheriff Fraser is at the store buying some items for his upcoming fishing trip. When at the till, when he's at the till, the tillman asks if he wants anything else. The sheriff says, yeah, deodorant. To which the teller replies, no sweat. Get it? And I thought that was so cheesy.
Great pun.
And I loved it. Yeah.
Great pun. I was hoping for more of those.
Yeah, me too.
I've got a couple here. I didn't catch her name, but one of the graduates says, Lisa, you'd better close those shades. You're going to give old man Chatnam another stroke.
Yeah.
And then Lisa proceeds to flash old man Chapman and says, well, he ought to be able to stand up now.
Yeah. Or have another stroke.
Or have another stroke. And then finally, the Prowler says, now, IMDb had this written down as a different line, but I'm going to say it how I heard it in the movie. The Prowler's one and only line, he says, I'm here for our date, Rose.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard too.
Here for our date, Rose. Yeah.
That's what I heard too. I think they wrote on IMDb, will you be my date, Rose, or something like that.
Yeah. And maybe in some cuts it is that, but from the one that I watched, it was, I'm here for our date, Rose. Yeah. Anywho, this leads us to our final segment of the show. Some might say it's our favorite.
I would probably say it's top 5.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I think top 5 is safe to say. Yeah. It's like picking a favorite child. Celebrity lookalike time.
Celebrity lookalike time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss their celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character's hairstyle. Blairski, kick it off for us.
I got a bunch, so I'm going to try to just whip through them quick.
Yeah.
The character Pam reminded me of Ariana Richards, who plays the little girl Lex in Jurassic Park.
Okay.
The character Ben reminded me of Justin Long, but with glasses. Deputy Mark reminded me of Cillian Murphy, and also a little bit of David Bowie.
Yeah.
And finally, the character Sherry reminded me of Blondie lead vocalist Debbie Harry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Roy, the guy at the beginning, one of the victims of the double murder, reminded me of SNL alumni Will Forte.
Okay.
What else do we got here? The Prowler looks like one of the little green army men from Toy Story.
Yeah.
I thought Pam reminded me a lot of Amy Schumer.
Okay, yeah.
And then finally, and I needed to double check IMDb to see if this was actually him, the legend. I thought Pat, the store clerk, reminded me of Captain Spaulding himself, Mr. Sid Haig. Not only in looks, but
how he talked,
mannerisms.
Yeah,
there was a laugh, and he had that kind of unique smoker's laugh. But it was just like this. This has got to be Captain Spaulding.
So you know what? I didn't write it down, but while watching the movie, Rachel said the exact same thing.
I paused the movie, I dropped everything, and I immediately started going through IMDb listings and everything. Because I mean, I thought that was him.
Yeah,
I thought this was an early movie for him.
Definitely a doppelganger. For sure.
Absolutely. That's all I have for celebrity lookalike time. Why don't we move to our final rating for 1981's The Prowler Blairski?
Yes, sir.
Out of 5 graduation parties ruined by a man with the bouquet of roses playing army, what do you give The Prowler?
This movie's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. I will say Tom Savini made this movie.
Yeah.
If I had anything to say about it, I'm going to give it 2.5. Graduation parties ruined by a man with a bouquet of roses playing army out of 5.
Yeah, I'm not far off. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna give it 3 graduation parties ruined by a man with a bouquet of roses playing army out of 5. I agree. Tom Savini was the best part of this movie.
Yes, sir.
Would have been nice to have maybe a little bit more, really lean into the cheesiness. I wanted a little bit more cheese.
Especially for the 80s,
Yeah, and maybe just tie up a couple loose ends with the character of the Prowler. It still feels like it could be a sequel. There could be a sequel made in the Prowler. I'd be interested if somebody was to remake this. I'm sure it's only a matter of time until we hear Blumhouse is working on a remake.
Blumhouse or Atomic Monster.
Atomic Monster. Somebody's working on a remake. Yeah, why not? This was a fun one to watch. I'm glad we watched it, especially since Tom Savini considers it to be his greatest work.
Yeah.
And I mean, his work shines in this one.
It sure does, man.
Yeah. 2 down. I'm excited for the next one. Until then, this has been Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Reviews That Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/reviewsatScare. That's linktr.ee/reviewsatScare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsthatScare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich. A proud member of Pod Nation TV.